and welcome to Virgo season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. I'm Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer, embodiment educator, and the creator of Embodied Astrology. I've been taking some time off this summer, and these horoscopes were recorded way back in Gemini season, so please let me know how they land for you and what's resonating in the comments. I do read my comments, and I want you to know that hearing from you is one of my favorite parts of this work, so thank you for talking back with me. As you tune in with this reading, keep in mind that astrology is an ancient, vast, and multidimensional technology. But sun sign horoscopes are general, and every astrologer has their own lens for interpretation. Not everything I offer will resonate for everyone, so take what works, leave the rest, always listen to your own intuition, and make the meanings that are most meaningful for you. I also want to remind you that horoscope astrology is most accurate for your rising sign. But, pro tip, do check your birth chart and see if you have a late degree rising sign. There are 30 degrees in every sign, and if your rising degree is later than 25 degrees, I'd recommend also listening to the sign that follows yours. If you have different rising and sun signs, listen for your sun sign for information on your general energy, and your rising sign for accuracy with timing, prediction, and thematic content. You can also listen for your moon and Venus placements for insight into your relationships. And since we're in a Mercury-ruled season, you might explore listening for your Mercury sign for more information on your mental state, important aspects of your communications, and definitely some more subtle themes that may be influencing you as we head into this Virgo season's eclipses. If you enjoy my readings, make sure to check out your 2025 Year Ahead Extended Horoscope. That's over an hour of in-depth exploration of this year's most important astrology for your sign, and those readings are discounted now by 25%, but still have so much more information that is relevant to this year, this season, and the eclipses we're about to enter. Okay, so before we get into your horoscopes, I also want to let you know that at Embodied Astrology, we offer much more than horoscopes and podcasts, and there are lots of opportunities to get involved. If you resonate with my voice and style and are interested in working with me to embody astrology more fluently and frequently, you can find me every Monday in Somatic Space, which is a weekly online class where we practice sensing current astrology through gentle exploratory movement, meditation, and visualization so that we can work with current astral influences in helpful, healing, and expansive ways. You can drop into Somatic Space any week or catch the recording if you can't attend live. But if you sign up for one of our monthly memberships, you'll get access to every live class, a library archive of past class recordings, and twice monthly chart reading study groups that are great spaces for learning more about how to work with your natal chart through experiential embodied practice. Our study groups are facilitated by my colleague, Embodied Astrology's community coordinator, Alisha Mawji. Alisha is also facilitating a 12-week cohort beginning on September 23rd called At the Heart of Conflict. This is the second group of 5 12-week gatherings, which are taking place during Jupiter's transit in Cancer between June of 2025 and June of 2026. At Embodied Astrology, one of our primary intentions is to harness astrology to work with the needs of our times. And Jupiter's influence in Cancer is particularly well suited for exploring patterns of conflict with curiosity, care, and in community with others, which is what this series is dedicated to. In these sessions, folks share and practice different tools that help us get curious about our own and others' experiences, expand our capacity in moments of dysregulation, and practice witnessing, careful reflecting, and collecting communal wisdom that expands different perspectives so we can move our conflict forward in new ways. Also coming up on our Virgo season calendar is a special one-time event I'll be co-facilitating with Sherri Taylor on September 21st, and that's the day of the Virgo new moon and solar eclipse. Sherri has spent over 15 years supporting individuals and organizations through transition, grief, growth, and awakening. Her work is rooted in trauma-informed psychology, adult development, systems coaching, and spiritual inquiry, and shaped by training in human development, group dynamics, and somatic practice. You might know her from Embodied Astrology. She has been with us for about 4 years now, and she is a longtime student of folk traditions, dream work, astrology, and mysticism as pathways into deeper presence and knowing. I'm so excited to be partnering with Sherri for this special event where we'll be tuning in with the Eclipse portal as an opportunity to play with deep diving into divination and dream work. If you're interested in any of what I just mentioned, you can find more information on everything in the show notes or under the events tab at embodiedastrology.com. Finally, if this work benefits you and you want to help me keep giving these monthly readings for free, please consider signing up for one of our recurring monthly donations. If every one of our listeners gave just $1 a month, we'd cover all of our operating expenses and have funds freed up to offer you even more. Other great ways to support this work are to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and sign up for our free newsletter, or send a horoscope to a friend. All right. Thanks for sticking with me for these announcements. Now let's get into your Virgo season and Eclipse season readings. Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to Virgo season. Virgo is your sibling sign on the mutable cross. Like Sagittarius, Virgo is a sign that is good at changing things. Sagittarius changes things through the element of fire, the adaptation and evolution and dynamic change that a Sag brings to the party has to do with inspiration, ideas, awakening, a feeling of expansive insight and possibility. The energy of evolution and adaptation that Virgo brings to the party is creatively practical and very much focused on how can things get better? Where do we see space for improvement? And how are things working so we can understand how that they might work in the future? As we move into Virgo season, we are approaching eclipse season. There will be 2 eclipses in Virgo season. The first is a lunar eclipse on the Pisces full moon on September 7th. And the second is a solar eclipse with the second of 2 new moons. And this is the very last day of Virgo season, the 21st of September. We will also have another new moon on the very first day of Virgo season. So this is a very special season. It is bookended by 2 new moons at the very first and very last degrees of Virgo. And that's special. That's definitely something special. And combined with the eclipses, this feels to me like a season that is very dynamic and really wants to help us do the work of mutability, which is the work of change. Now, of course, we are living in a time that we are so incredibly fortunate and blessed to receive the prophecy and guidance of Queen Octavia Butler, who reminds us that God is change. And that change is always happening, and we are always a part of change, and everything we touch, we change, and everything we change and touch also then changes us. And so let's think of change as something that we can participate with, that is always happening, not necessarily something that needs to be done or will have a beginning and end point, although there are particular seasons of change that are pointed in particular directions and do have particular chapter markers on them. Some of which we might be talking about in the next little bit in your reading. So, Virgo is your fellow mutable sign. Virgo is about practical change, implementing evolution in the earth element. Earth, I mean, I don't know how many horoscopes I've said this in, how many readings I've said this in, because I think about this all the time, and it is truly one of the biggest sources of inspiration for me. I have Venus in Virgo, maybe that's it. But I am constantly amazed at the ways that Earth just yields to change. And I'm talking about Earth, the planet, Earth as in the element. If you watch any little plot of Earth, for any amount of time, you will see that Earth is never still. Earth is always moving, even in places of deep and potent stillness. There's always just a little something happen. There's always like a breeze just moving, a little thing across the landscape. There's always some ants, moving little pieces of something from somewhere to somewhere else. And the way that the little pieces change the big picture is very Virgo. Okay, so it's like all of the little things doing all of the little things, combining into the big picture thing that also connects Virgo with its opposite sign Pisces. And I'll say with the energy of Sagittarius, because Sagittarius and Pisces are both signs that are ruled by Jupiter, and your signs love big picture. You want to think about, what happens after the change. Like Sagittarius is like, I'm going to change and it's going to be great. It's like big picture. Virgo and your fellow mutable sign Gemini are ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is detail oriented. And in the details, we're like changing. And then someday we arrive and we're like, oh, whoa, big picture, everything's different. So Virgo energy in Virgo season is very powerful. 2 new moons, one of which is an eclipse. Mercury is finishing its retrograde shadow as we move into the season. So Mercury stations direct August 10th, 11th. Virgo season starts on the 22nd. And then by the 25th, Mercury is out of its shadow. And that means that Mercury is moving fast. It has completed its journey over this area of the zodiac that it did retrograde in. And this is your fellow fire sign, Leo. And then by the 2nd of September, Mercury will move into Virgo and combine with the energies of the eclipses that are coming up. And because Virgo is your fellow mutable sign, it holds the heaven of your chart. This is like the ceiling of the chart, or let's just say the sky of the chart. This is where the light coming down that wants to pick you up and grow you is emanating from. And so this is a place in your chart that really speaks to your public image, your reputation, your professional and vocational callings, your career, and what's bigger than that. And this includes who you are in the world and what you're up to and the legacies and the lineages that you are part of creating, and also that you will be leaving for others when you depart, because you may be forgotten within a generation or two after you pass, but you will have shaped change and your influence will remain, even if it's forgotten, who created that influence. And some of you are going to make big names for yourself, and this is a season to really be thinking about that. So there you have it. Okay, so Virgo season starts on the 22nd. We have a new moon. It's at the very first degree of Virgo, which is a degree that really is invested in calculation and specificity and intelligence. This is a new moon that is also held in what's called a Yod configuration by 3 outer planets actually, Pluto in Aquarius and Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And so I have been talking to you for a long time about Sagittarius really is evolving right now through learning to have different kinds of relationships. There's something coming up in September that's going to really turn the volume up on this, but this new moon is holding this energy of you are trying to change who you are and how you are and the thing that you're doing in your life. Some of you are going through big career transitions. You want to up-level the thing that you're doing. You're seeking to adapt and evolve. And how do you need to do that, Sagittarius? You need to do that through creative communication and collaborative engagement on some level. Even if you think you're working solo, you're not working solo, because you are working with other people's ideas and initiatives and energies that have set the stage for you to do what you do. So I ended your Leo season reading talking to you about the ways that gratitude brings abundance into your life. And I am going to double down on that right now and say, you are not served right now by being competitive with other people or by trying to cut anybody else down or get in front of them or put yourself in front of the universe. You are not served by trying to be number one. You might deeply be served by investing in expanding your best potential, in trying to rise to the occasion of what you can give at its best, but do not be egotistical in your orientation right now. If you orient to the work that you're doing or to the ways that you are in the world, in ways that resonate egotistically, and that's not even about what it looks like from the outside, it's really about how it feels from the inside. So if you are moving out and into the world in some kind of way where you're like, I really want people to notice me. I want to be the best. I want to be number one. If you're competitive with other people and you're like, ooh, they're doing that, but I could do it better. Or like you're, this feeling of trying to put yourself in front of others. You're going to get slapped, Sagittarius. You're going to get slapped by your own energy. You have the South Node in the 10th house right now. This is a big moment on a collective level of we need to do things differently. We need to work differently. And this model of white supremacist patriarchy that is about like one guy who's just so awesome, like doing all these awesome things and, who's the winner and has all the money and gets all the recognition. That is so old. It's so stale. It's so boring. And anybody can be like that. It doesn't need to be a guy, right? It doesn't need to be a white guy. Like plenty of people of all social locations and positional identities act like that. And you don't need to, Sagittarius. You don't need to. What will support you right now are attitudes of gratitude, self-confident humility, right? And so this feels like love for you. You can love yourself. I told you in Leo season, write a whole list of your accomplishments, give yourself your flowers, like really think about what have you done that has gotten you to this moment? Appreciate yourself. Love yourself. True self-love allows us to be truly humble. And in humility, there's just friendship that's possible, right? Like there's friendship and discernment. You don't have to be friends with everybody, but you're not like needing to prove anything. You're not coming from places of shadow insecurity. And that kind of energy right now is so bad for you. Like it's bad for anybody, but Sagittarians, I will tell you that that kind of energy will block your blessings in such an enormous way. So Mercury comes into your 10th house, September 2nd. That's right around the time that Saturn retrogrades back into your 4th house, which is the opposite of your 10th. Saturn has been in Aries, your fellow fire sign. Now it's going back into Pisces. Pisces holds the root of your chart and the foundation. And then less than a week later, we have this full moon and eclipse in the Virgo Pisces axis. And right around that time, Uranus in your opposite sign, Gemini, is stationing retrograde. And so this to me feels like big reorientation. And I said that and then I was like, that's too dramatic. It's a subtle reorientation. It's an energetic reorientation. It is so important that you pay attention to what serves, nourishes, and sustains you right now. It is super important that you pay attention to the foundations of your own stability that are bigger than you and that are beyond you. So who is involved in feeding you? Who is involved in caring for the home that you live in? And that includes the earth, that includes the land, it includes the structure. Who helps you regulate? Who helps you rest? Give attention to those beings. If you can expand and enlarge that attention into more of an existential and like tertiary kind of awareness, to include your teachers, to include your students, Sagittarius, some of you are teachers, right? I've said this before, Sagittarius brings big teaching energy. Let me ask you a question. What's a teacher without students? Right? You learn by teaching. I'm a teacher too. I have big Sag energy. I cannot learn if I don't have students. I cannot reach the full potential of my own knowledge if I don't have people to share it with. So the hierarchy is bullshit, right? Like if you're going to be a teacher, it means that you have to bow to the feet of your students while also claiming your own wisdom and being confident in it. And so I really feel like Virgo season is asking Sagittarius to be the kinds of teachers that teach through helping other people come forward into leadership. Sometimes you come across the kind of teacher who is more quiet than they are loud. They know how to ask the right questions to get other people to produce their own answers. That's the kind of teacher you want to be, Sagittarius. Get out of the way with your own ideas. Even though you have great ideas. I love your ideas. Sagittarian ideas are awesome. But get out of the way. Other people actually might have more ideas than you. And it is a kind of interesting thing about collective intelligence. Collective intelligence is always more brilliant than individual intelligence. And the Sagittarius charts right now need and want to be able to channel collective intelligence and need and want to be able to bloom and blossom and share themselves and spread and expand by supporting and uplifting others and expanding the conversation. So flip the model of leadership upside down and put your orientation and emphasis in the roots and in the ground. Help build the foundation, build the support. Think about resourcing people and giving back. And let that actually be your orientation and priority. And that will then flow into you. That will then help you in your own guidance and leadership. So as Uranus stations retrograde in the first week of September, pay attention to what's happening in your relationships and your commitments. Uranus entered Gemini, your opposite sign, earlier in July. It will be moving back into the late degrees of Taurus. It stations direct there in late November. And then by April of next year, I think it might be sooner, Uranus will be back in, end of April of 2026. Uranus will be back in Gemini, and it will stay there until 2033. Now, over the last couple of months, you may have noticed some real big shifts in your relationships and how you are coming into contact with other people, the kinds of agreements that you want to be making. There may have been some significant kind of changes inside of your agreements. You might be reflecting on, like commitments that you have with people or that you want to have with people. A lot of you might be feeling the need for some more freedom or variety or new feeling experiences. As Uranus stations retrograde, and then especially as this lunar eclipse on September 7th comes into your fourth house, I think that a lot of you need to be pulled back into something. It feels like you need to attend to the water and the earth elements, and that is emotion and body and physicality and materiality. Some of you may be pulled by actual circumstances in your life that are not letting you move forward in the ways that you thought you were going to be moving forward, or innovate and change in the ways that you thought you were going to be innovating and changing, because there's a deeper process that needs to be attended to. This is not everyone. This is not a prediction to make you scared. This is stating the obvious for some Sagittarians out there. So you know it if this is you. Some of you have family members who are in transition right now or have recently transitioned into spirit. Okay, so you are attending to processes of death and dying. And that could also be a metaphor. There may be other kinds of losses or changes that are happening in your most immediate, intimate, and important relationships or your familial relationships. And over Virgo season, and it could be until early next year, your energy just needs to be with that. The fire element doesn't always have the easiest time allowing ourselves, I'm putting myself with you because I'm big Leo energy, got lots of fire placements in my chart. So we don't always have the easiest time allowing ourselves to just linger in the emotional field and like grieve, or feel depressed or just be in our feelings. The fire energy wants to keep it moving. But I will say that I I think especially in Virgo season and through these eclipses, and in the window between eclipses, between September 7th and September 21st, fire signs in general and Sagittarians actually especially might really just need to be with the feelings and allow other people in your field to also be with the feelings that are here. I meant field like your general area and environment, the field of your relationships. These eclipses are deep. They're really deep feeling, especially the solar eclipse in Virgo on the 21st is a very deep and powerful feeling eclipse. And leading up to that, there are a lot of things that feel like they are happening that, for Sagittarius especially, really resonates with this feeling of you are not here alone. You're not doing anything alone. Sometimes that might be really frustrating because it can feel easier and things can go faster and sometimes a lot smoother if other people, don't need to be considered or involved or muck it all up or whatever. A lot of people working on something, or even just one or two others, can complicate things. But those are necessary complications right now. Like what is coming up, especially in the emotional realms for you, Sagittarius, it could feel slow. It could feel agonizing at times, but there's so much gift that's here for you. There's actually so much that wants to be given to you. And in times of big grief and sorrow and loss, it's not always at all easy to connect with what the gift is. But I don't know how many people I've heard talk about some version of the same thing, which is that without grief, we don't get to experience love. They are two sides of the same thing. And I think that a lot of you either have a lot of your own grief that needs to be felt right now, or there are other people around you who need you to be present with their grief and their feelings. And it doesn't have to be grief. It could be all kinds of, emotions, and emotions are like water. They come, they go, they flow into different shapes. It could be grief one moment, rage the next, despair, loneliness, confusion. I think that a lot of you are working out or working with really subtle, sensitive complexities of things. And so there's a need for you to show up emotionally and energetically and to be present and mature as much as you can on a psychological level. And so again, that means humility, taking a breath, taking a step back, kind of being there in a way that can hold space and help a process just be felt. Like you don't need to do anything. Don't do anything, Sagittarius. Let's let that be the main message for you in Virgo season. Don't do anything. Let things happen and be available for them to happen. Be in support of them happening. So this essence of adaptability and evolution and change that you are a part of, the insight now that you can lend to this experience wants to be the kind of insight that's reflective and reflexive and patient and curious and loving. Let go of trying to control anybody else. Do not try to explain people to themselves. Nobody needs that from you right now. They need to explain themselves to themselves. Your questions, curiosity, and attention could be very helpful. But even if you think that you've got it figured out for them, if you can help them figure it out for themselves, that will be the lasting impression. We can't teach anybody else anything. Everybody needs to learn it. So orient your efforts right now to soft leadership and soft power, reflective, relational, community, and coalition building. Don't put yourself first in front of the universe, but include yourself right in the center of your biggest dreams. Okay. So let's conclude with a little bit of an embodiment practice, and let's tune in with the nature of change. Because again, this is the nature of everything, is constant change. And the fire element, all signs, but especially Sagittarius, can be very eager, to reach a destination. And there's no final goal. There's no destination. We're just no one going nowhere, doing no thing on a universal level, right? Single lifetime is an in-breath and an out-breath in the universal experience. So don't get it twisted. None of us are that important. And so to be here with the kind of humility and love and delight that letting go of ego can really facilitate is such a gift to ourselves, to our own lives, and to all of that around us. So let's just tune in with this sense of feeling the way that things are changing and that we can just be with them, that there is nothing to do other than be, and that will actually allow us to reach our most joyful destinations most effectively. So we'll begin just by tuning in with breath, and however you're breathing right now, see if you can just notice it without trying to change it. So notice how you're breathing, Sagittarius. And every breath is different, so don't try to make them the same. No, I've already closed my eyes because it helps me turn my vision inwards, and if that feels possible or good for you, you might want to close your eyes as well. Now, as soon as we begin to notice something and bring attention to it, it changes on its own. And so as you begin to bring attention to your breath, just notice how your breath already changes. And what I often feel is that when I bring the attention of my mind and consciousness to my breath gets very excited, and it's like, ooh, let me tell you what I need and what I want. And as soon as I start to pay attention, I might feel like, oh gosh, I want a deeper breath, or I need to breathe somewhere or somehow. So as you pay attention to your breath, notice how just attention leads change. And see if you can be in the space and the interplay and the relationship between your mind and your breathing, your attention and your body. And in this awareness, there might be a little bit of a curious kind of exploration. Who's breathing? Who's thinking? What is this energy here? And then we'll just do a little experiment inside of our attention. And I'm going to give you a prompt, and whatever comes to your mind first is great. So there's no need to overthink this prompt. But do keep noticing your breath as your mind begins to activate, and notice what happens with your breath. And I'm going to ask you to think about a situation in your life that you have been trying to control. And if you're like, Renee, I'm so over that, I don't do that anymore, then think about one that you did at one point, okay? So it could be anything at all. It could be, you want someone else to be different in a relationship, or maybe you're like trying to gain weight or lose weight or do a exercise regime, or you're trying to meet a deadline, or, how many times have you felt like you're trying to do something or you want to control an outcome? Okay, so just notice what happens in the feeling of your breath as you think about this circumstance. Okay. And then just be curious about this feeling and imagine energetically what the consequences of this feeling are. And those consequences could be directly related to whatever you're trying to control. They could be somatic, physical consequences in your body. There might be consequences relationally or mentally. So just be curious about it. You don't have to answer the question, but just allow yourself to contemplate, like, how does this energy ripple out into the world? This feeling that you're noticing in your breath when you're trying to control anything. Okay, and then we're going to shift, of course, and do a little contrast and comparison. And so you might want to wiggle or shake or just find a way to let go of that particular focus. And then come back into awareness of your breath and try and give your breath what it wants. As you bring yourself into awareness of it, you might also extend some gratitude to your breath and gratitude to the many beings that provide your breath. So many plants and oceans, animals, other bodies, and stars that create the conditions for us to be breathing in. Okay, and then Sagittarius, I invite you to bring your mind to a circumstance where you have felt really playful and like you don't have any need to control. But there's playful spontaneity, there's curiosity, there's listening, there's just simple presence. Oftentimes we feel this in like new friend situations or something like that, where you're like, oh, I don't even know you yet. Friends can be human or otherwise. Okay, so whatever comes first, just noticing now how it feels in your breath when you connect with a memory of being spontaneous, not needing to control, being present, being in the flow. How does that feel? Is it different at all than how it felt to control something? Do you notice anything shifting in your breath and in your energy? And then allow yourself to imagine, Sagittarius, how this energy will ripple out into the world. And what are the consequences? What are the impacts of this kind of energy in your relationships, your body, your mind? Okay. Now, I don't want to make assumptions about your experience. Maybe you didn't feel anything at all. Maybe the feelings that you had are completely different than the kinds that I had. So let me know in the comments, how did it feel to breathe in these different ways or with these different kinds of experiences? And what do you imagine that the energetic impact of your own energy has in a wide way? And if you felt at all supported by letting go of control and being a little bit more present or spontaneous, then take that with you into Virgo season, Sagittarius, and keep practicing it, because letting go of control and allowing ourselves to release and receive states of grace and humility and collaboration and deep listening and curiosity can be as simple as an intention. And it can be something that we practice in our breathing and in the ways that we show up energetically, much more effectively than in anything that we do or say or don't say. And so if this is the energy that we're bringing to the party, then we can trust that our actions and reactions and the ways that we're in leadership and how we're connecting with others will resonate with these kinds of energies. So I hope any or all of that feels helpful for you in Virgo season and beyond. And I'm wishing you all the best. Bye for now. Hello again. I hope these season's readings feel supportive for you. If they do, drop me a line in the comments and let me know what's landing for you. Also, just a reminder to check out our upcoming events. I already told you about what we have planned for Virgo season in my intro, but make sure to check out our full calendar because we have some really special opportunities to work with embodied practice in alignment with astrology coming up later this year when we'll be hosting Palestinian dancer and choreographer Saed Mansour for a 4-week series that coincides with Jupiter's station retrograde in Cancer, Saturn's station direct in Pisces, and Mercury's retrograde from Sagittarius back into Scorpio. The energies created by this triple presence in the water signs are a portal for deep excavation of our own psyches and identities. And Saed will be leading us into a journey of dancing and moving with the political, social context of our current times. For anyone who's interested in really working deeply with current events and your own identity and embodiment in relation to them, this will be a powerful space for practice and discovery. Again, you can find more information in the show notes or at embodiedastrology.com. And I am sending you so much love through these eclipses and this Virgo season. Bye for now.